Hello, and welcome to my training. Let's just take everything off the screen there. Welcome to my training. I'm going to share with you today my life lessons around insomnia, and there were many for me to learn, but I'm going to share how we can identify the real underlying cause. I'm going to share that with you, what it is, how you can identify it, and then also how we can fully resolve our insomnia, our symptoms. What I'm going to talk to you about today also applies to other symptoms as well, but particularly focusing on insomnia right now. That was a big life lesson for me. So the problem is, we know, if you're listening to this, you know full well that insomnia is just so debilitating. It just wipes out, it just affects every single aspect of our lives. It takes away our peace of mind. It just impacts every single aspect. And the problem is that we try so many times and so many ways to help ourselves to work with it, overcome it, whatever the right phrase might be for you specifically, but we just end up getting into this frustrated, desperate space of just thinking, oh my god, nothing is working. I'm just gonna have to stay like this forever. I'm gonna have to suffer with this forever, struggle with it forever. We just get into this space of life just becoming almost this vicious cycle. So I want to talk to you today about what the real cause is underlying all of it, and then actually how we can use that to fully resolve this. And insomnia, I'll talk more about my story as we go through, but insomnia had a huge impact for me. So this is all my learnings from all of my work. So for those of you who don't know me at the moment, my name's Anna Rushmer, and I'm a healer and intuitive empowerment coach. And I help women to find their inner peace. So find their inner peace, no matter what's happened to them in their, lifetime so far, helping them to come back to this space of inner peace, allowing them to finally resolve whatever is causing them, chaos, confusion in life at the moment, whether that be mental, physical, financial even, so that they can come into this space of feeling real peace, real stillness of mind, coming into this space of feeling free. And that freedom is a massive part for me, because, no matter what events, traumas you may have experienced, events you may have experienced, this space of coming into freedom of peace of mind and being able to feel joy in life, that is what we deserve. And that is absolutely what is available to us. And, myself and my clients are testament to this. And the bonus is, when we move into this space of, inner peace, that is when we are going to attract to us the things that we want in our world, So whether that's love, real connected, conscious love, whether it's wealth, whether it's whatever it may be, whatever that right thing is, whether it's starting a business or creating a really thriving business, whatever that is to you, that real sense of thriving in life, that is when we're going to open it up, when we can find this kind of stillness within, and we haven't got our symptoms kicking off for us and creating issues for us left, right and center. So the reason I do this work and why I'm so passionate about it is because I've lived all of this. So all of the stuff that I talk about, that I teach about, that I do, trainings about, that I work with, every single thing I've experienced in my life and within my own healing journey. And, the main reason I do all this work, I work with women. The reason I do this is because, quite frankly, you deserve to have that life, that you truly want. So not the life where you're having to settle for things, not the life where you're having to manage, symptoms, learn coping strategies with symptoms. There is none of that. We don't have to live that this world of, as I say, inner peace, this joy, this abundance, this just feeling alive, vitality, energized, all of this good stuff, that is all available to us. It's just that life has kind of taken us off course over the years, and majorly, sometimes completely understand that. I've been there myself. But everything that I've learned has been taken from my own healing journey, back from experiencing childhood sexual abuse, kind of abandonment kind of issues, family woundings, mother woundings, toxic relationships. There was a lot of events that had kind of compounded over time and created, quite frankly, a shitstorm of symptoms for me. So everything that I now teach about is taken from all of my experiences, and insomnia was a major part of that journey and healing for me. So I very much walked this path, and I very much tried everything. And my healing journey started 15 years ago, back in, 16 years ago, I suppose now, back in 2006. And, it's taken a lot of my time to kind of refine, improve, work out what works, really identify what didn't work along that route as well. And to be able to come into this space of feeling real stillness. So what I now do is bring that all together in a program, so that I can help other women do the same in different ways, but do the same to create this stillness, this freedom, this joy for themselves, but in a tiny fraction of the time that it took for me to get there, basically. So coming back to insomnia, if you are anything like me, I was in a space where it was just affecting everything within my life. So my relationship, my work, caring for myself. So I would eat just, crappy food because I didn't have the energy to want to cook, and I also used to be in this spiral of disordered eating as well. So I would be heavily dieting whilst doing all of this. And I would then there were destructive behaviors going on. So I was ridiculously angry that I had to live in this space. I didn't understand why it was so difficult and why I had to struggle so much with it. But also I was drinking too much because I was in this space of, wanting to kind of numb it all and, try to help myself sleep, which obviously that didn't work. But it was, it was absolutely affecting every single part of my life, to the point, quite frankly, where I was feeling suicidal at times because of everything that was going on at that point in my life, and because I felt so powerless to be able to help myself, which is exactly why I talk about this stuff. I share my learnings now so that I can help other women come out of that space. So the myth around it, or what we do, we then go and we try maybe talking therapies, we try meditations, we try medication, we may try sort of generic hypnotherapy tracks. I love hypnotherapy, but what I want to kind of point out is actually how deep we need to go into this work. So we may try alternative therapies. We may try sleeping in separate rooms to our partner or kids. We may try, setting up different bedtime routines, all of this stuff. And then nothing works. If you're, as I was trying so many different ways to try and help myself, but nothing was working. So actually I was coming back into this space of thinking, I am just fucking broken. What is wrong with me? Berating myself for this rather than being kind to myself. What the is wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And that actually then creates this vicious circle. No, I must point out that none of the things that I mention are my am I poo-pooing at all? They all have their place, but it's not going to get to the real deep root cause of, you know, what's happening beneath the insomnia that we need to get to be able to resolve it. So, and we're in that space of being super, super desperate for help. Now, this is, whilst it doesn't feel it, it is a good space to be in. Like, our symptoms are here to really, really flag for us what needs to be healed. And, you know, I believe that they kind of come up worst at their worst when it's really time for us to dive into it. That was certainly my experience, and has been, you know, throughout. But the real cause for me, for my insomnia, as I worked out, and this is what I want to share with you, is that my nervous system and my subconscious mind did not feel safe. Okay, so let me explain that. And just before I explain it, just be careful with this as well. Don't fall into the trap that I did of thinking, you know, letting your ego talk to you here. And so I kind of went into that space of thinking, yeah, but I've done loads of healing. You know, I've done a huge amount of healing over a lot of years. I consciously feel like I feel safe. So I don't think this is going to be my thing. Let me just really point out here to just come at this like with an open mind to it all, because if you are having these blocks, this is what will be happening for you. You know, somewhere your subconscious, your body, your nervous system is not allowing you to rest for some reason. So just kind of come into this like with an open mind, and I'll just explain what I mean with the nervous system and the subconscious not feeling safe. So our subconscious mind is always on. So it's what, you know, helps us, makes us breathe when we're asleep. So that being the case, if it can't rest because it's not feeling safe, it's going to keep us kind of on this level of, you know, alert. So that might be high alert, you know, it might stop us sleeping completely, or it may be that there's this kind of alert so that we're in a light sleep or we're in broken sleep continuously. And that, by my experience, just goes on and on and on. I think, you know, at the worst, I was kind of getting 4 hours sleep a night, and it just continued, and it was just, yeah, beyond a joke. Somebody explained it to me once as it being like a dog circling in a basket. You know how a dog circles before they will lie down in their basket? If our subconscious mind and our nervous system can't rest, it's like that dog just carrying on going round in that basket, if that makes sense. So we know that if we can't go into proper sleep, into this deep sleep, particularly, well, all of it, but, you know, deep sleep, deep restful sleep, there will be an element of us feeling safe. But it's that not feeling safe, the feeling unsafe, kind of sits below the waterline, essentially. So there may be, you know, there may be ideas that we consciously have around this, but most of the time, I would say that this, you know, this sits below the waterline. It's all kind of outside of our awareness a lot of the time. So we need to be able to identify how that's happening and why that's happening for us to be able to resolve it. Now, the reason we don't feel safe is going to be very different for everybody. So, and this was very much so going into my story a moment, just to illustrate this. I had no idea that I didn't feel safe. I had no idea. The first time I went for hypnotherapy myself as a client, I went in and said, you have to help me with this insomnia, because it is just, you know, I don't know how much more I can deal with. And it took me right back into, right back, I'll go over this a bit more later actually, but it took me right back into how I felt within my, within the trauma event that happened. Oh, actually, I'll come back into this in a moment because it will fit more fit better a bit later. But basically, our reason is going to be very different for everybody. Okay, and this is why it's so crucial. One size is never going to fit all with this work, which is why, if you've tried the kind of more generic programs, hypnosis audios, for example, they may help a little, they may help some, but they're not going to really get to the root cause and really work out this total resolution for you. Now, that reason that we feel unsafe could be for a number of reasons. It could be for any from trauma that we've experienced in this lifetime. And remember, it doesn't need to be big event traumas for it still to affect us in our world now. It can be even from our birth that this can come in. It can also be generational trauma, that has passed down to us. We've learned it. There could be, anything going on like that in terms of our subconscious program. It could be down to, anger that's, what's the right word? that's underlying in our system. It could be because of anxiety, overthinking. All of these things are patterns that are existing for us within our nervous system, within our subconscious mind. So it can be any reason. Okay. But the key thing is that, as I say, all of this is happening outside our awareness normally. So we need to be able to bring it into our awareness to be able to fully resolve whatever is happening specifically for us. Now, I ran a program called Surviving to Thriving, where, the first port of call is to work on this SOS for safety. That is the first part that we work on. And that is all around allowing us to feel into this safety and really, be in our own safety. It's so key for us to feel safe in our own skin, in our world. It's so key because that is the bit that's going to integrate all of the healing that we've probably done up until this point as well. When women come into my program, they have always tried to help themselves before, and they, they're normally quite frustrated about this as well. But either their symptoms their issues haven't been resolved at all, or they haven't been transformed to the level that they were expecting. And this is what this is all about. This is about deep proper resolution. So no sticking plasters here, no managing anything, no coping with anything. But the key is to really feel safe to be able to integrate our healing that we've had. When I went through my various stages of healing, I sort of felt like I did, a chunk here and then a chunk here and then a chunk here, and we kept rolling on. But it wasn't until I really understood this need for safety, and that I still didn't have it. I still didn't have that really grounded safety within my system. It wasn't till that point that everything just started to integrate and to come in, like really drop in, and huge jumps in kind of up leveling in all aspects of my life. That's when that came in. So we need it to integrate our healing, but we also need it as like a really grounded building block to build our work on. So as I say, I always start with this safety, SOS for safety element of the program, so that we're building that really solid base. Otherwise, it's a bit like, building a house on really shaky foundations. The work will still create transformations, but it's not going to kind of really give you that really grounded, like deep transformations that are long lasting then. Um, so we've talked about how our symptoms are actually, whilst they feel shitty, they are actually, really good flags for us as to what is happening within our world, what needs to be healed, so that actually we can grow, we can up level to our next level that's available for us. So how do we resolve this? How do we move into this space of feeling safe, so that, in this example, our insomnia starts to dissipate, and then we can get it into this full resolution? Okay, so I will just say to you now that going from 4 hours sleep a night, which was broken as well, so it, fairly ineffectual, which was absolutely killing me, just went on for months after months, at least a couple of years. Started way back before, though, started sort of in my teens. This is around when I was 29, 30, something like that. It was at its worst. Now I'm in this space of absolutely being able to sleep, and it doesn't matter what's going on. Life still happens, we still experience things that are going to come up and create an issue, cause a trigger for us, but that does not affect my sleep now in any way, because my whole, my nervous system, my subconscious is safe. It feels safe, so therefore I can rest. And then it's like, okay, crack on, let's deal with this today, whatever it may be. So how do we resolve this? How do we find our safety, and really move into that space, really feel into it, and then, as I say, start to create these really, long-term deep resolutions for ourselves? So we can use our current symptoms, we can use our current emotions, feelings, thoughts, behaviors, to actually find where the root cause is for us. So what I would do firstly with this, we would use hypnotherapy to go in and identify the absolute root cause of your insomnia, and also what, emotions, behaviors, thoughts that's creating for you. We would use all of that information to actually follow back. So hypnotherapy allows us to talk directly to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is so clever that it knows exactly where it needs to go to help you heal. So this is okay. I love working with the things that I work with, because they just feel so magical, because this is a case of kind of opening the space for, and opening the communication for, the subconscious to do the healing that it knows you need to do. You don't need to consciously know where we're going, where it's taking you. We don't need to know, don't need to go back in. We can do content-free work. We don't need to go back into traumas. There is just so much magic, so much power available. The subconscious is so powerful. So we would use all of this to go in, communicate with the subconscious to say, okay, take us back to the first or the worst time this happened, so that we can really identify the root cause. And then when we know the root cause, we can start resolving that. We can release it, we can integrate it, we can accept it, we can, completely release it, whatever needs to happen. And that will be bespoke for every single client as well. What needs to happen with that memory, the energies, the emotions that are associated. But we'll release the suppressed emotion, and then, once we've identified what's happening, we can release the suppressed emotion and then reprogram, whatever that program is in there that's running. So mine was to be on high alert, for example, because my trauma incident happened in my own house, in my own bedroom. Again, I'll come on to that shortly. But because of that, it meant that my subconscious had learned that, oh, I'll do it now. We'll talk about it now. My subconscious had learned that going to bed, on my own was not a safe space, because when I was little, that was a danger. It was dangerous. I was hurt. I was terrified. So it made total sense why, my subconscious mind couldn't let me rest, and it made sense why my nervous system couldn't let me rest, because none of that space was safe. As an adult, and not being in the same situation, logically, yeah, absolutely, I was safe, and at the worst point, I was in a really safe house. I was living with my ex-fiance at the time as well. So there's in kind of logical kind of reality, there was no reason why I should be experiencing problems. But this is where the subconscious was going, no, you can't rest, because you might need to defend yourself. You might be in danger, or you are. It's not even a might. You're in danger in this situation. Therefore, we're going to set off all the flags. So, as I said before, I had no idea that my insomnia was being triggered because of this safety and because of the trauma incident. And as I say, don't let that sort of worry you, in the sense that, we wouldn't need to go back into traumatic memories and events necessarily. We would be guided by what your subconscious wanted, what you wanted in a session. But it allows us to really pinpoint where that was put in place in the first place, so that actually we can go in and do the necessary work to resolve that, release those suppressed emotions. Huge, so much fear for me, so much anger, so much hatred, so much, it was just, yeah, there was a lot that needed to come out. But releasing that, so we don't have to carry it as well. We don't have to carry this toxic energy around with us for the rest of our lives. We experience things at the hands of other people, and we don't have to carry that. We don't have to carry that energy, that pain, those after effects. We don't have to do that. We can come out of it, which is what my work is all about. So when we've dealt with what I would call those shadows that we're like more aware of, still below the waterline, so we're not necessarily conscious of them, but we will be seeing the symptoms and the emotions, thoughts, behaviors spinning out because of that. So we're kind of more aware of them, but we will then go in and look at those shadows that are deeper, like the really deep ones to me. And this, again, I mean, I think every part of this work is magical, but this to me is like, this is a real key. Excuse me 1 second. Just a quick gulp of water. So what we can do then is go in and find these deep shadows, these deep woundings, blocks, limiting beliefs, patterns, fears that, when we know about them, we'll be able to relate to them, but we probably won't know that they relate. We'll probably know that we feel them, but we probably don't know that they're related to safety, or, our feelings of unsafety to safety. What was I going to say? So we go in and we use our Gene Keys profile for this. So our Gene Keys profile gives us our unique, a unique map of ourselves, of our own inner beings, and it allows us to really, really get to know ourselves on a kind of really authentic, energetic, and also DNA level. It's like, it's incredible. I love it. So it's, what's actually coded into our DNA and who we truly are before all of life's shit, all of the events, all of the conditioning happens to us. So really kind of helping us come back to who we truly are, who we're meant to be before all of that crap happens. But what it's amazing at doing is being able to tell us, like within our DNA, what is blocking us. And we can focus, the gene keys profile is made up of a number of keys. But we can focus specifically on the one that is around safety. And this is going to be different, you know, for everybody. Our profile is going to be different. You know, it's going to be unique to us. Or it's going to be, you know, a unique blend for us. But there's, as I say, we've got the one that relates specifically to safety. So when we identify that, we can then bring it into our awareness. So again, within my program, we would then look at that. We'd then start kind of journaling on that to bring it into our awareness. Now, not to bring it into our awareness so, you know, we then sit there thinking, oh my God, this is happening for me, and I can see that this has happened for me all throughout my life. Oh, you know, but it's to bring it into our awareness so that we can actually work with it then and start to clear it or integrate it or transmute it or whatever the right thing is. Because as soon as we're, you know, aware of something, we're almost kind of, you know, part way there, halfway there with our healing by the fact that we're aware of it. We need to bring it into our awareness. And then we would then work with that in a similar way. So once we've done the journaling, once we can see where this is showing up, we will then go into a hypnotherapy session and actually work with, you know, how this is showing up. How is this shadow, this wounding within our DNA? How does this show up in our life at the moment? You know, what limiting beliefs may we have around that? What fears may we have around that? When do we see ourselves going into this pattern? You know, this is almost like our easiest kind of space to go into. So as an example, mine is to feel broken, and I very much felt that throughout, you know, all of my life. I very much felt like I was broken, I was abnormal, I was different to everybody else. Everybody else had their shit sorted. I had no bloody idea how to live, you know, do life, be an adult. And I very much felt that, and that's a natural space for me to go into. So when we can identify it, we can work out, you know, what we need to work with, and again use hypnotherapy to do that. So using the power of the subconscious mind, really pinpoint what it is that we need to work with. And this is why the process that I use within my programs is, you know, a way quicker process than I went through, because it's so pinpointed specifically, you know, for each client, you know, and bespoke for them. It allows us to really focus, really pinpoint, and really, you know, work out what it is that is going to allow us to, once we clear it, is allow us to really start to step into this, you know, authentic us, which is around showing us our gifts as well, you know, allowing us really to release all of those blocks that are just hindering us at the moment. So with the insomnia, we can trace it back to, you know, we feel safe on, we feel unsafe on some level. So how is that within our subconscious? But how is that within our subconscious via our gene keys as well? So we're kind of covering all levels of kind of shadows with that. And then with that as well, if there are, you know, specific kind of trauma events to work with, of course, we can work with that as well. Just depending on the client as to, you know, how much needs to be released. But this gene keys focus just allows us to really pinpoint like what we need to, how we need to grow, what we're growing into as well, who the real us is, and actually, you know, that path of healing for us. And then what we do as well is work with breath work. I won't go into that in too much detail at the moment. But we would work with breath work. When we work with breath work, we can come into this space. You know, breath work is incredible for being able to calm our nervous system. So, and it also helps us to purge, this toxic energy, these energy blocks, which ultimately will create dis-ease within our body, if we're not working with them and moving them. So breath work is just so magical, so incredible. Helps us to activate space for the good stuff to come, for our peace of mind, but also allows us very naturally to purge any toxic energies, anything that's happening for us. So we know that insomnia, underlying cause, is not feeling safe in our subconscious, in our nervous system. We now know how we can go in and actually pinpoint exactly for us specifically where those issues lie, and therefore then we can work with them. And we can work with them in both, with all gene keys, hypnotherapy and breath work to do that. So everybody is going to be different. So this is going to take some kind of research and kind of diving in for yourself to work out, what you need to do for you. You are more than welcome to message me if you're interested in working together or starting to have a look into this. If you message me, I can send you a link to an application process where I'll ask you some questions. If I feel like we're going to be a good fit and you can get some, really good resolutions within my program, then, if it's a yes, we can then start work, as soon as next week, if that is something that feels right for you. What you can also do is start to have a think about times that you may have felt unsafe within your childhood, and also if this brings stuff up, do get in touch. We can always book in a call to cover those points as well. We don't tend to very often think too much about we kind of link into, I was going to say, we don't tend to think too much about our past. We do, because we link into the emotions, and that's where our symptoms come from. So our thoughts and emotions around it. We don't tend to kind of want to go there to think about like how we may have felt unsafe, or what may have happened, what may be creating these issues for us now. I'd invite you to, just kind of sit with that and see what may come up for you. And then, as I say, by all means, message me and we can connect on a call to kind of work out where you are at the moment and where you want to be, and actually how we could bridge that gap for you. And then also another way you can start to help yourself now in terms of helping, starting to help your nervous system start to feel safer, is to do some sort of basic breathing techniques. So there are a few that would be my go-to. So you've either got the 4-4-4-4 box breathing, so breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. You can do that. You can do the 7-11, so breathing in for 7 and out for 11. That's just gonna, all of these are just gonna start to bring us out of our minds and more, back into our bodies, basically to ground us into this safety. Another breathing technique you could try, it's just about finding what fits best for you, really. But breathing in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 8 as another example. So just test those out. This will just help you, as I say, just take a moment, just ground. Another thing that you can start helping yourself with straight away is taking at least 15 minutes of pure rest out of your day every day. So making 15 minutes of time for you to rest. If your mind tells you that you haven't got that time, know that that is nonsense. And you know, you can make that time for yourself. So it comes down to choice, it comes down to priority. But if your mind chirps up, I haven't got that time, that's fine, that's quite normal. Because we're not used to, if you're not used to taking that rest time already, it's not something, you know, that we are generally used to doing within our society. So you know that it may try and interfere, but make that time for yourself anyway. As I say, get in touch if you want to talk about how we might be able to work together, and we can have a chat around any of that. But I hope that this helps you realize actually where that underlying cause is for the insomnia, actually that it fully can be resolved, and that we do not have to live with anything in life. We don't have to settle with anything. We don't have to live with our symptoms. So thank you so much for listening. Get in touch if I can help you in any way, and I will catch up with you soon. Thanks for watching. Take care. Lots of love.